Peeps, what's up? It's your boy Metaphysical Marc here. So I'm coming live because I have a special guest that's gonna join me today. She's an astrologer and intuitive as well. Let me. So we're just gonna just really just hop on and just talk about the energies that's happening cosmically. Okay, she's there. She is. Hey, that popped up without even
I'm
popping up. So,
here.
how are you? How are you?
I am good. It is morning here. It's the new moon day. Yeah, I'm feeling good with this
Yes,
moon.
tell everybody where you're at, by the way.
So
First of all,
I'm,
yes, sorry.
pardon?
Let me introduce you the right way. Let me introduce you the right way. So, guys, today I have with me a friend of mine that's on the other side of the world right now. So, as she said, it's morning there and it's night where I'm at right now. She is an astrologer, an intuitive as well, and a psychologist. So, she blends all of the worlds into one, which I like to deem as metaphysics. So when anybody asks me what is metaphysics, I'm like tying everything that I can into one understanding, so we see how everything is one. So to see someone embody that, to see someone actually do it, and so with so much fervor and just energy behind it, it I want to give you, your props from somebody that's all the way across the world that's seeing you work, and just want to just go ahead and just tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where you're from.
Well, thank you for that beautiful introduction. So I am calling in from Australia. I'm on the east coast of Australia. I'm from Sydney originally, and I've kind of been a little bit of a gypsy for the last few months, floating between Queensland and New South Wales. And it's morning here, moon day. So if everybody's feeling rather emotional, and it can kind of go one of two ways today, it can go really big and expansive, feeling amazing, or like crybaby, Suki, I just want a cocoon and forget the world. But I guess in terms of what I do, with the psychology, with the astrology, knowing the energies that are happening, knowing the collective energies that are impacting us just helps me understand and help others so much more, because there's always, you would write with your work, there's just always so much more to the picture.
Mm-hmm.
We think we're sad or angry about this certain thing, but there's so many layers and so many
Mm-hmm.
ways of looking at it and working with it. So I think that's what I love about astrology, and it just complements psychology so well, because by having this other cosmic blueprint of who a person is, and how they vibe and what they like and what they don't like, and what works and what doesn't work, and then being able to
Mm-hmm.
pull it together with tangible strategies, through
Mm-hmm.
psychology or through your metaphysical tools, it just flows.
That's so perfect. Like literally, that's what I talk to people about all the time in terms of the spiritual with the practical application. Like
Yeah.
back in the days they didn't separate the that from psychology, and
No.
separate now because they understood the characteristics and the influences from the different spheres and things like that. So for you to literally like you're displaying that, you're bridging the gap and bringing two different worlds to people, no matter what side they're on, to actually see the same aspects and the benefits from both. And that's just amazing. Like that's just, like I said, I wanted to actually bring you on so people can hear that this is possible, so they can understand actually the tools that we're given, and that we are shied away from a lot here in the U.S. about anything that's goes against what the religious over soul of this country is. So we're cut off. We're just learning a lot of the things that maybe you guys were a lot more open to before. I'm not sure, which is why I love talking to people that are in different countries in different places, because you know it's seeing it's seeing it from your eyes, not necessarily what we are shown here in America. So is it anything that
Mm-hmm.
you deal
Yeah.
with there that
Yeah.
is kind of similar? Oh, salute.
Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I actually grew up Catholic, you know, went to Catholic schools, and there's not I mean, there's not a hugely strong, compared to America, religious influence in Australia. I have noticed in the last few years, though, it picking back up. I think people are really craving ritual and faith
Mhm.
and just that deeper connection to something bigger than us. And I quite like that I do have a background and an understanding in religion, but I figured out pretty quickly that I don't know. I don't like being contained in a box, and you know, I like the freedom to kind of know that there are other things out there. And so to me, it always just came back to like there's just there's spirit, right?
Mhm.
And I think what I learned is it doesn't matter if you're reading metaphysical books, religious books, spiritual books, everybody's saying the same thing. It's just
Mhm.
packaged a slightly different
Mhm.
way, and it all just comes back to love and connection. And you know, so I think the beauty of not boxing ourselves in, right, and you know, with your metaphysical side of things, is we can work with anybody and just know
Mhm.
that it's about that love and it's about that connection. So I really enjoy working with people regardless of what their spiritual orientation is, and actually I get quite a kick out of working with the clients who are more science based, and kind of then watching them be like, hang on, there's
Yeah, yes. Same, same. I love it. I love I think it's you'll be able to attest to this. I think it's um the air signs that I have that are like makes me super intellectual. So I love
totally,
intellectual stimulation. So like
yeah,
when it's like a challenge for me to have to explain like, okay, how can I explain this so they understand? I love
yes,
that. Like I crave those moments because it's so intellectual like that. So it's like
yes,
I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So whenever I hit people that's with science and they're like, how are you doing this? I'm like, well, energy is everything. And then I go into like breaking it down. They're like, you know, I've been saying E equals MC squared my whole life and never really understood. And I'm like,
right,
exactly. Now you
yeah,
understand it. Like it's exactly what I'm
yeah,
doing right now. Like,
yeah, yeah. And actually, have you read the book The Untethered Soul?
no, I haven't. Who's the author?
So that was a great book, and he's I'm trying to I think his name's Michael A. Singer, the author, and he's
Okay.
now got a second book out, and he's talking about all this, like he's really coming at it from the science angle. I don't know
Hmm.
if he got I don't know, poo-pooed on for how spiritual the first book it was. I don't know, because he's really coming at it from science. But it's cool because he's bringing in all the quantum physics and the
Hmm.
metaphysical side of things, and essentially saying, if you're a scientist, you are
You have to
spiritual,
look
and
at
you're
it. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, you know, and it's kind of crazy to not think that you are, but I think this is where with religion, with science, spirituality, whatever, we can get quite dogmatic
Yeah.
in our beliefs, which doesn't really then allow room for other perspectives. So I think yeah, I just try to keep everything really loose.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So, like, tell me what actually got you into astrology? Like, what actually, like the build up for that?
Mm-hmm. I got it from my mama. I got it
Perfect.
from my mama. Yeah, she is you know, she was always into that side of life. So I grew up with astrology books and tarot cards and all the things around me, which
Mm,
might sound weird coming from a Catholic background, but that was more my dad's side. And
okay.
mum was the
She was super
spiritual side.
gypsy, sounded kind of
Uh
like a,
huh. Uh huh.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
And she really fostered it in me. Like she saw that I had just this kind of just a really deep connection with it. So she allowed me to go and do tarot courses and astrology courses even when I was at school, and yeah, really fostered that belief and that love in me. So it's just been a lifelong journey.
That's
And
amazing.
I stumbled across the concept of psychology quite young as well. So I knew from a very young age that I wanted to help people in that way and then infuse it with astrology. And with my air sign Aquarius rising, I consider myself just like a lifelong student of life and all things. So it's just forever unfolding and deepening.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Like that's um, that's how it should be. You know what I mean? That's how it should be. Like she allowed you to still be you,
Yeah.
but still gave you the tools that like, hey, these are still tools that you might need
Yeah.
when you get older. Like, hey,
Yeah.
keep an eye on this. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I thought it was the opposite way. Like, you found psychology first and then you got into astrology. But that's amazing. I never actually hear it from that standpoint. You know what I mean? It's always the opposite, especially here with a lot of
Yeah.
psychologists.
And actually, it was in a way like quite scary, like coming out as an astrologer.
Mm,
um I really worried that people wouldn't take me seriously, but the thing I learned was the more I stood in my integrity and authenticity as a spiritual holistic psychologist, people actually took me more seriously.
hmm.
And I think it's important to mention that, so that if people,
Yes.
watching, have this thing that they really love and want to do, but they're hiding behind a certification or a piece of paper or thinking that they need those things. Just when you're in integrity, and when you're living your truth,
Hmm.
there's no other way but for it to just succeed and for people to want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Especially when you know what you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you went
Yeah.
through the things to give you that confidence to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
well, no, you can't tell me no because I got this and I done this. I put in this work. You know what I mean? I put in
Yeah.
this experience and I've experienced this and that. So I'm glad you mentioned that because like that's um this energy with that also um, feed to that with a lot of people that are in that transition right now because that's like a theme that's been happening for me in the last like 2 weeks with clients is a lot of them are really um, taking in that energy and being more confident with who they are and
Yeah.
actually taking their life in their hands. So they're
Yeah.
actually controlling what is being needed, and I'm assisting them with different outlooks and different things that they need to move through and stuff like that. But I definitely think that this energy is helping that, especially with the alignment that just happened as well, the planetary alignment. Could
Yeah.
you
I didn't
could you
get to
speak a
see
little
it.
bit on
Did
that?
you?
No, I didn't get to see it either.
No, I didn't get to see it. But yeah, it has felt, because I know that was last week.
Hmm.
It kind of feels like that, right? Like things are suddenly kind of clicking into place, is how
Yeah.
I would describe it, where it all felt a bit lost and what the hell is going on for the last few months. We had those massive eclipses, but
Yeah.
there does seem to be the sense of like everything's kind of clicking into place now.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And like I think a lot of people to hear you say that as well, being on the whole other side of the world, it lets people know that it's actually happening. Um, and not just here, and they can see it from a global stance of like what's actually happening collectively. And not just what we're
Yeah.
being shown, not just what we just have access to, but actually like understanding that it's other beings on the whole other side of the world is getting the same type of download, the same type of insight that's, hey, we're moving
Hmm.
towards this, we're moving towards
Hmm.
that, moving towards that. And they were all on that same unison and how powerful that truly is. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that, like, the 100th monkey, like, experiment and how that actually happened. And it changes the collective consciousness by just
Yeah.
a pool of people making that decision. So to be able to, see the work you do, to be able to share the work that you do with people as well as sharing it with other people on a global scale is so important to me. Like it's
Hmm.
so important to
Hmm.
me, which is why I love connecting with people that are not from here because
Hmm.
um, it helps me understand that same thing as well. Because we can
Hmm.
we can we can get tied into just what we're shown in our country, but then not understand that other people are experiencing some similarities in terms of what's happening in their country
Hmm.
as well at the same time. So then it's like, okay, what's really happening right now
Hmm.
globally? So it takes
Hmm.
away from that isolation, sort of, kind of, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it shows possibilities and,
Hmm.
shows that there are other ways of utilizing the energy. I mean, you guys, though, there's massive astrology coming up for America as a
Yes.
country.
Yes.
You know, so it makes sense to me that you kind of like, if you guys kind of have tunnel vision at the
Hmm.
moment, because there's so much. You've got the planet Pluto, which is like the planet of transformation and rebirth, about to do a shift into another sign, and it's like the ruling planet of America. So it's going to
Yeah.
be very interesting to see what unfolds over the next 18 months. But I love that perspective of yours, that it's like, you know what, but if we look outside of this, we can remember, you know, that we're sovereign, that, you know,
Hmm.
it's all energy, and we can, you know, utilize our energy for the good. And I love that, you know, you're really all over kind of what's happening collectively, politically, in a way.
Hmm.
And I think that's really important. And I tend to, I guess, put my blinkers on to that kind of stuff to keep my energy good. So I like getting updated from you. But I guess kind of seeing myself as working from like the trenches up, like just
Hmm.
helping people connect back to their power and remembering their truth to raise the collective energy. But it's so important that we've got people like yourself daring to voice what's
Yeah.
really happening,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, so important.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's huge, and that's why I do it. I think, you know, a lot of times I know personally here in the spiritual community. That's why I say I love that you're an integrated person. A lot of people aren't integrated into the world. When they hit that spiritual high, they never come back down and integrate what
Yeah,
they need to here. So like I
yeah,
see that a lot being in, you know, Colorado and, you know, near Sedona. It's a lot of spiritual people here that are like, the world is over there, I'm over here. And it's like, you're still in the world, man. Like you you still
yeah,
have to like you still have to know what's going on. Like at least just
yeah,
know what's happening around you, so then you can know where
yeah,
not to be at when things are happening that you are now aware of because you paid attention to, like, a, you know. So
yeah,
I like to just keep it updated with still like that light. Like, okay, hey, this is what's happening. How do y'all feel about this? You know,
yeah.
because like I was saying, as a collective, if we start having these conversations, these dialogues, that consciousness just swirls and it just
Mm-hmm.
reverberates and we create that ripple, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
like just seeing it from outside, like I got a client actually in excuse me, southern Australia.
Mm-hmm. I
So
think you
like
said
he
Adelaide,
tells me,
right?
yeah. So he
Yeah.
tells me all the time, like, what's going on? And he was like, yeah, man, you know, I'm getting ready to get bundled up. I'm like, bundled up? What are you talking about? He's like, it's winter here, bro. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I didn't even think about that because I'm, you know, it's just
Yeah.
like the little things, you know what I mean? And being able to just see that from outside and then look inside, it allows me to see that bigger picture. Like we're saying, like we don't I hate being boxed in. I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
as an intellectual, I don't like to think one way. It's so many different ways to see things and to view things, which gives me a whole wider
Mm-hmm.
scope of like, okay, this makes more sense. I can put this
Yeah.
and piece this together. So seeing so much change happening, so much um, people, like people rising up, like people speaking in so
Yes.
many different places, like it's happening in Canada, you know, it's happening in like Mexico and things like that on this side. You know, it's like, okay, people are becoming more
Assertive.
vocal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. And
Yeah.
they're like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
not with this. And everybody's like,
Yeah.
me either. Let's go
Yeah.
talk about this. Like, it's
Yeah.
it's a great thing to see, honestly. You know, like it's something I haven't seen, and I don't think many have before this time period, to be honest.
No, we haven't, because we've literally just shifted into the age of Aquarius, and Aquarius, you know, is all about the
Hmm.
collective. You know,
Hmm.
it's humanity, and it's such a beautiful shift to come out of Capricorn, which is more about hierarchy in a lot of ways. Like,
Mm.
here's the ruler, and here's all the underlings, and here's the rules and the structure, and you need to play
Ah,
by those rules. And so we're shifting out of that now, where it's like, hang on, are these rules really working for everyone? So it's really cool to see, right? But it's, I guess we could kind of think of it like we're still in the baby period. So it's so
hmm,
great that we're voicing it, but we might not have the perfect words just yet. But that doesn't matter, right? This is how we
yeah.
learn, and this is how we grow. And all that matters is we're just trying to find the words and being brave enough to speak them.
That's literally a perfect analogy for that. It's like, yeah, we're in the baby stage. That's why
Yeah.
it's so like much chaos of, but everyone's speaking, everybody has an opinion and they're
Yeah.
vocalizing it. But like it's not in any way that's organized or any way that's like, it's just at each other. We're
Like
all
everyone's
just
toddlers right now, just me, my words. But that will change, that will
yeah,
grow, that will develop. But yeah, so you're exactly right that we haven't really seen this. Yeah, so I'm actually very excited to see how this all unfolds. I think the next, 3 to 5 years are going to be really pivotal.
got you. Thank you for explaining that to me because like I've been getting a lot of that on my like on especially on Facebook. Like I'll make one post and people are just at me like from so many different angles and I'm just like, I literally, guys, I was not trying to go. I was not trying to go through the ringer today, dog. I was just trying to make a simple post. I thought was so simple, and now y'all are making me
Yeah.
think all the way over here. And I'm like, well, I can see where you seeing that. And they're like, well, this. I'm like, okay, I
You're
can
like,
see
ah,
that. Okay, I guess I'll take that. And I'm like, why is this happening? Literally, I'm like, why is this happening so much? So thank you for explaining that, like, because I
yeah,
really didn't understand it. I really didn't, but now that makes so much
yeah,
sense. Like, people are just getting it out. You know what I mean? And that's um, I'll change the way I view that as like, okay, good. This is a platform where you feel like you can just get it out. Whatever is on
yeah,
your mind, you can just get it out, and then you can see other people that's
right,
getting it out, and you can just get whatever you need through that,
yeah.
interaction. So thank you for that. I appreciate that from
Pleasure. And
astrological sense.
at least like you're, even though it's causing a bit of drama for you, it's working, right? Like you're
Yeah.
you're waking something up in
Hmm.
people, and if you can create a dialogue with them, I mean, for some of them, the saying is it's pointless to argue with a toddler. You maybe just have to disengage, but for some of them, if you can keep them in dialogue and have them
Hmm.
going, well, hang on, yeah, maybe there's another way of looking at this. I think really that's what the work is all about.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in those uncomfortable moments. That's what I really
Yeah.
like. I have so many people that have different opinions about it. They're like, oh, well, you should just delete it or you should just, I'm like, well, like it's certain things I have to stand up for, certain things I have to rebuttal to. But if it's not, I just say, okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that. Like, thank you for sharing your opinion. Like, I
Yeah.
still honoring your opinion, but I'm not gonna say anything else
Yeah.
because it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can actually just imagine what your inbox must be like when
oh
some of
man,
those.
it gets deep. I just had a friend write on my wall like I can't interact with any of Marcus's friends until I have this baby, and I'm like. I'm like, I completely understand. I was like,
Tapping out.
yeah, it's just like until I have this baby, my hormones are way
Yeah.
too like spiky and emotional. Like I can't
Yeah.
handle it because she's used to seeing me go through that. You know what I mean? And then like
Yeah.
sit with it and sit with those people and really allow them to shift the paradigm or express in a way that they get more understanding within themselves about what they're saying. So
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy that. Like I said, as an intellectual, I'm not like I'm a Leo, but it's you know my emotions are very balanced with my mind at the same time. So it's like I'm that Gemini moon. So it's like it's just
Oh
weird
my
how I
God, your mind
process.
never shuts up
It
then.
never it never shuts up. And that's what people understand. They're like, how are you? And I'm like, I don't think normally. Like I'm a philosopher for real. Like
Yeah.
everything's deep to me because
Yeah.
it's the only way my brain can actually get to, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, yeah, I have to go through a
Yeah.
depth.
Yeah. Do you know what your Mercury is in? Because that's the communication planet.
I think I have. Ooh, I think I have a Mercury in Libra. I believe.
Libra.
I believe. Yes, I believe. I believe so. I'm not sure. I'll have to
Yeah.
look at my chart.
Yeah, because Mercury is usually kind of same sign or the next sign or the one after. So that works.
Okay, got you. It's either
Yeah.
that. I know it's not Mercury in. Mars. I mean, in Aries. Because that's my girlfriend, I believe, has Mercury in Aries, and
Yeah, that would make
um,
sense if she's an Aries sun for
yeah.
sure. It's quite common to have Mercury in the same sign.
Like I said,
I
I'm
actually
such a
wondered if you
baby
had
to the.
Mercury, pardon?
I'm still such a baby to like my chart, even learning how like the terminologies.
If she's watching now, she's probably like, your Mercury's not in Libra.
Yeah, yeah. She's luckily she's not here right now, but when she sees this, she's gonna be like, I tell you this all the time.
Come
I'm like, I
on.
know you tell me everything all the time, and I can't.
Yeah. I actually wondered if it was in Virgo, just with like your ability to
Mm.
kind of see the bigger picture and then ground that and articulate that.
It
But
might be.
Libra makes sense too.
Yeah, I was about to say it might be because of what you're saying. She tells me all the time. She's like, you're like perfect for like your chart is saying like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, like
Yeah.
for your life. Like I'm like living my North Node right now. My North Node is in Sag. So I'm like
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
you just
doing.
had like a full-on North Node kind of hit for the last
Oh
18
yeah,
months
yes, yes. It's been
with
like
your
that's what I'm
Saturn
saying. It's been
return.
that's what I'm
Whew.
saying. They've been setting me up. They've been setting me up so perfectly to just be like, oh, this is really just flowing out pretty nicely. You know what I mean? Like, and that's
Yeah.
the biggest thing for me is like I'm not used to that. So I'm like, I have to do. And they're like, you don't. You're good. I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I don't. I have to do. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
good. Like,
Yeah.
look at these things we've set up like for you to
Yeah.
be okay at these pivotal times in your life. And I'm like to read astrology, that's what I'm saying. Astrology, how she breaks it down, I'm like, oh my God, this takes so much pressure off of me because I'm thinking like how much I have to overdo of like, oh, I did. And they're like, no, you're living your North Node like right now.
Yeah.
So like you're gonna be doing this your whole life. What is the rush?
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, you're absolutely correct.
And that's Saturn return in a nutshell, right? Because Saturn
Yep.
demands that we have strong, solid foundations. And I think that's where
Mm-hmm.
people can feel frustrated in the Saturn return because we start to get an understanding of where we're going and what we need to do. But Saturn doesn't let us cut corners or rush ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So I described mine like it kind of felt like I was going through quicksand because I knew where I wanted to go. But yeah, I wasn't allowed to cut corners. I had to have those really strong, solid foundations because essentially we're setting up for a whole another 28-year cycle. So
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to be doing that on shaky foundations, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think you described it earlier perfectly, when you were saying that in our chat earlier, that you're not resisting it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you're just allowing yourself to slow down and go at the pace that you need to. And then that's
Yeah.
when the magic happens.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I find that sweet spot. That sweet spot that you find
Hmm.
in that relaxation and knowing, but in
Hmm.
that anticipation of when it shows itself and you're ready to go. Like it's
Hmm.
that I'm finding that good sweet spot to where I'm
Hmm.
able to move through a lot of things and manifest a lot quicker because
Yes.
and I channel that to like strong boundaries. So like I know now I'm getting more solidified now in what I like to express and how I want to show myself and
Hmm.
not being moved on how anybody else outside takes it. You know what I
Hmm. Take
mean? Like
that.
how I
Mm.
would have, yep. So it allows for me to be right up front on what I want and what I don't want. So it
Hmm.
limits the when I'm asking, it's like, okay, this is pinpoint accurate now
Yeah.
because I'm
Yeah.
putting it boom, 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 boom. So that's what I'm looking for. That's what's gonna come in terms of like energetically. I know what that is. So it's like,
Yes.
okay, let me relax now. Now I can play because I felt it now. So it,
Right?
it's it's
And
definitely
play
great.
is
Mm-hmm.
so important. That's where we're in the energy of manifesting. And I love that you brought up boundaries because Saturn is the planet of boundaries,
Makes perfect sense then.
right?
Like I said, I
Um,
I really just be going intuitively. Like I really just feel a bunch of stuff, and then my brain processes it, and I'm like, oh, I think this is what's going on in the collective, and then it's really like planetary like movements that solidifies what actually I'm feeling. So I'm like, everyone's feeling this, like this is actually happening, So being
mhm,
aware of it is so
mhm,
important. And I tell people
mhm.
use these tools. Like astrology is another tool. And like I said, that's
Yeah,
not my gift. Like I'm more of an intuitive aspect of it. So I can tell you how I pick up and translate it through the feelings and through that person, how their energy is flowing and things like that. But you can actually put it and show it and teach it through a method that's been around forever for people to
So
actually
long.
understand themselves. Yeah, and
Yeah.
famous quote by J.P. Morgan is, billionaires use astrologers, not
Yeah.
millionaires. Like it's
Yeah.
so
Right?
just
Yeah,
understanding that it's important.
yeah. And I'm just thinking too, if you're Libra rising, because you mentioned, now I can relax and I can play, that means your Saturn is in your fifth house of creativity and play. And,
Hmm.
so Saturn's helping you create the structures that actually allow you to play more and to have fun and, to do the work in, just like really unique, magical way.
Yeah, and that really allows me to really channel that energy. Like I know when I'm in that playful mood, especially being a Leo too. So it's like, oh,
Right?
I'm playing. That energy is woo woo woo. So that fire is like when I'm in a good mood, I can let's go over here. Somebody needs this. All right, hey, give me a hug. And I
Yeah.
didn't even know that that person was going through a whole, you know,
Mm-hmm.
thing that they were going through, and I'm just happy. I'm just happy, and it's so that's the state that um, it's a pleasure to be able to feel and to see it solidifying in my life now, coming
Mm-hmm.
from where I came from with, being in foster care and having to go through all the things that I went through in that aspect of my, 28 years. So I'm so
Yeah.
grateful. I'm so honored. I just want to ask one question before I go, because I know you have a session in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, what is one thing, one tip you would give anybody watching and anybody that will watch, with overcoming that self-doubt? Just one little tip.
Overcoming the self-doubt, just one. It's really about getting quiet. The all
Mm,
that self-doubt, it's noise, right? And we're so overstimulated at the moment, as a collective, just as society. And once we are over, there's an overload in the mind, it's very easy to get caught on the negative feedback loop, and that's the doubt there. It's just thoughts,
mhm,
and thoughts are not facts. They're just these ideas that spring up. But the more we jump on that wheel and think those thoughts, they start to sound really real and true and
mhm.
obnoxious. So, the simple tool, often the most simple things are the most effective, right? It's like we've
Yeah.
just got to actually go, hang on, come back to center, stop, slow down, breathe, and get out in nature, like get away from screens, all the things. And that's when you hear those little soul whispers, and that's the truth. And if you just follow the threads, this is very much what I teach, right? Then what we
Mm,
need to do is take aligned action. We've got to actually then
mm,
start to take the steps. And it's when you do that and you realize, oh my God, this works, this is okay. That's when you then build that trust and that confidence within yourself, because you dared to follow the thread of your little soul whispers and it worked. And that's when you realize, oh my God, I have so much power. And
mhm.
that's the really beautiful thing that I love to see with clients.
I love that you say that, because I call that faith walking. So that's what I tell people. The
Yes.
more you faith walk, oh, you become
Yeah.
great at it. You start seeing
Yeah.
it even more, and you're a faith runner now. You're running with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? You started to
Olympian.
exactly. You start hitting turns that you don't even care that they're there. You're like, oh, all right,
Yeah.
I'm turning now. I'm hitting, striding. So
Yeah.
definitely, I love that. I love that. Yes, I love that.
Yeah. I might have to steal your
Oh,
name and
definitely,
call.
definitely. You use it. Faith walking, use it. I love it. I love it. We're all here
Yeah.
for that. So, like, yes, please just tell everybody where they can find you. Obviously on Instagram, but like your website. Facebook. I mean, YouTube. Just anywhere that if anybody felt connected to connect with you, that they'll be able to actually find you.
For sure. So at the moment, it's Instagram and my website, which is www.riannajade.com. And actually, I've got a 48-hour, if I can do a little like spruik, 48-hour sale at the moment on my natal chart readings, where they're 15% off. So if anybody's kind of keen to dive a little bit more into their astrology,
Mm-hmm.
that's available at the moment. But yeah, so website and Instagram, and they can sign up to my email list. And I term it, you know, if you want to know which planet to point the finger of blame at, being on the email list is a really great way to stay up to date and in the know with all of that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining me and like honestly taking your time before you have a session to actually sit down and connect because like I said, it's important for people to see. And as a person that's very global in my awareness, it's very important for me to connect with people on the ground level, all around. You know, to see that
Mm,
we're all doing the work, we're all okay, and that we're not alone. To let it also be
mm.
known that I honor you for everything that you're doing over there and that you're doing in the collective because it's felt over here. And I just want you to know that and continue to do what you're doing. And thank you so much for taking your morning to actually sit with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for, yeah, for actually coming up with the idea and inviting me on. It's been really beautiful to learn more about what you do and how you help and how you work as well. So thank you.
Yes, yes. And thank you everybody that watched. I didn't have time to actually see what everybody was saying, but
Neither.
definitely hit us up if you have any questions about anything. We're here to speak. She has a session, so give her probably like don't interrupt her session, but
Uh,
all righty. Thank
well,
you so much.
hopefully connect soon.
Yes, definitely, most definitely. Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Yes, everybody. Like I said, thank you for joining us. If you don't have an astrologer or you don't know one, definitely just tap into people that have these tools. If you connected with Rihanna, um, and felt her energy and where she's coming from, definitely hit her up because it's best to know than to not know. And it's time to really put that energy into ourselves. Like as y'all have been seeing, I've been posting this recently about like I'm ready to work with people that are ready to work because that energy's here. And like I said, that fiery energy that's inside me, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to keep building. I'm ready to keep seeing people transform their whole lives. Like I'm ready to continue to activate individuals into seeing themselves. And once that happens, it's just reverberates, 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 reverberates. It's not just one person, it's a whole tribe, it's a whole community, it's a whole city, it's a whole county, it's a whole town. You know what I mean? It's a whole state. And we can do this by actually tapping in and taking it serious. This energy is ripe for this transformation. It's right for it. It's right for it. So, like I said, hit her up if you need anything in the astrology aspect because she knows what she's talking about and she can tie it to the psyche as well. Um, if you need any energy work done, if you need a reading or anything like that, as you guys see, I have been doing some crystal wraps for individuals. Um, People that I've worked with so I can pick up on them energetically so I can, I know where they're at and what kind of stone that they're needing with the aspect of actually wrapping it myself with my bare hands. So you're getting my energy through my hands that I do all the work with that it's into every single aspect of that piece and what I'm getting intuitively of what's how to do it and what to put in it and things like that. And I will be having the elemental boxes coming soon. I know you guys been seeing me out in nature doing my elemental shamanistic aspect of who I am because you guys are going to be seeing more of that as we move forward, to be honest. And also my grounded aspect as well. I'm very balanced individual. So just look for all those things that's coming, especially next month. Um, Keep reporting the fake pages because they're out here. There's nothing I can do about it. They're just out here. I'm trying to find out how I can fix this issue, but for right now, just report them. If they're not, if the numbers don't look right, it's not me. I'm not making another page. Um, Instagram is already, you know. doing too much. So definitely just tap in with me, report those pages, and I appreciate y'all, man. Like I said, those that's ready, I'm ready. I'm here. Like I said, I'm boosting up. I'm leveling up as I move into more of the shamanic aspects of myself. So the energy work is just increasing. The energy work is just increasing by product of that alone. So really tapping into that, tapping into different things, holding retreats, holding things like that coming soon as well. Men retreats, definitely want to get some men retreats, but now I'm understanding that it's not even just men, but more so masculine energy. Just understanding that the divine masculine, and that is a trait that's within all of us. If we can actually channel that energy, um, it doesn't matter necessarily the outward expression of your body or manifestation, what energy you hold. So definitely want to move into that. But I love y'all. Y'all know what it is. This was Third Eye Conversations, and thank you guys so much. Peace out.